Although my Floette is not the eternal flower form, I love to talk about AZ because I also love to talk about the Gilgamesh epic. And the story of Gilgamesh compared to AZ is a great way that shows how Pokemon interconnects things like our history to history in the Pokemon universe. If you're unfamiliar with the Epic of Gilgamesh, this is an ancient Sumerian story and text that is believed to go back to around 2100 BCE. There's multiple tablets and the story's been translated to Akkadian more in like the 18th century BCE, but this entire story is quite comparable to, let's say, the Judeo-Christian stories that occur in Genesis. So these texts serve as another ancient Mesopotamian collection of mythology. These have many of the other stories that you know from this region, like one of the most famous examples being another account of an alleged great flood in that region, this time with a character named Utnapishtim, which would be comparable to that biblical Noah for people who may not know. But for one, these stories exist in a somewhat comparable timeline to what we know comparative to the Pokemon universe, these stories taking place as far as maybe about 4,000 years prior ago to somewhere in that range, versus AZ being about 3,000 years prior to the events of X and Y. And then comparing AZ himself, who was a reigning king of the Kalos region, Gilgamesh himself was also a reigning king. And both of them ultimately go on a long adventure. AZ's we have a lot less story about, versus Gilgamesh's is quite cataloged through the epic itself. Due to his exposure to the ultimate weapon, AZ now stands at over 9 feet tall, according to the official documentation on the Pokemon website, while the accounts of Gilgamesh report that he was over 16 feet tall or over about 5 meters tall. We also have this really unifying tie between these two characters. We obviously have Eternal Flower Floette, who is AZ's partner, and this is Enkidu in the Gilgamesh epic. Enkidu was a dear friend to Gilgamesh who lost his life, and it set Gilgamesh out on a quest to seek out eternal life, which someone here might be known to do as well. The Gilgamesh epic as a whole does have kind of several themes that relate to the concept of immortality and when it's granted to people in the universe. And like I said, it's not like we haven't seen that before. So maybe in PLZA we'll see more of AZ's story or backstory. It would be awesome if an Utnapishtim popped up in this game, I'm just saying. Sumerian mythology is like my bread and butter, so I love this.